So it's been a few weeks since we first visited the world of Zoenesis and everything we knew about this miniatures game at the time. In that video, we covered the basic thematics behind the game, its origins, its creators, and we even painted up a set of demo miniatures. If you've seen that video, you know I had a great time with one stable and a not so great time with the other stable, mostly because I painted one of them yellow. Yeah, a few people didn't like the Directive 4 language that I was using in the last video where I was referring to everything as a warband, so we're going to DI some kayfabe lingo into the miniature wargaming world and refer to warbands and squads and teams as stables now. What's up, my movers and shakers? I'm Dave. This is Hector, this is MS Paints, and this is a full review of Zoenesis, the new game designed by Andy Chambers with narrative by Gav Thorpe and production by Best Hobby. As discussed in the last video, Zoenesis is a scalable skirmish game set in a non-grimdark universe. A scalable skirmish game, simply put, allows you to, in theory, start with 0 points and scale the game up to a full-size wargame if you wish. It takes stylistic and narrative nods from Appleseed, Patlabor, Votoms, and Ghost in the Shell. Which, as I discussed in the last video, are things that I like. So the game is called Zoenesis, and you're probably wondering, or maybe you're wondering, what a ZEO is. Well, it's a human-piloted, operated, not mobile suit, mech, essentially. Now then, I've just been corrected by the industry of mechanized armored infantry that I can't refer to these things as mechs, as that is discriminatory against the big armor suits and the people that work very hard to drive them. So whenever I use the term mech from henceforth in this video, what I do actually mean is big armor suits. Alright, cool. Yeah, a mech slash robot suit which has a fairly non-specific task and they kind of do a bit of everything. Everything from like urban pacification to hauling cargo and delivering milk. One might say they are geared towards some patrol and labor. Yeah, the idea in this sci-fi universe, which you can start reading all about on Zoenesis.com, is that piloted robot suits are pretty common in the future, but then someone decided to put guns on them. And rocket launchers, and whatever a Jinrai shock rifle is. Jesus. This starter set that I have includes 2 Stormer ZEOs and 1 big Amaruk, that's how you pronounce it, master rig spread across 2 teams. Stables. Teams in Zoenesis take the field with alternating activations, and each activation acts like some kind of preset move thing. Some might say a little bit like X-Wing, but really it's more like a set of behavioral guides rather than a strict pathway they have to follow. Now, interestingly, there is not a universal reset phase in every turn in this game. Like normally you would start a round, take tokens off, take exhaustion things off, regenerate wounds if that's what the game says. Now, I'm not sure if this has been done before. I'm told it has, but I've never come across it, so it's new to me. Once your miniatures run out of activation points, they need to then take a turn to manually reset, have a rest, have a kip, have a Tommy tank, whatever. Of course, some miniatures will have more activation points than others, probably more expensive models, points-wise. That with the fact that every action can be met with a reaction in a kind of out-of-sequence activation kind of way. You can rinse through those points pretty fast, and anything with a high amount of activation points becomes way more useful. It's about as far from you go, I go as you can get in a lot of ways. There's some on-the-table bookkeeping that needs to be done, but these are just done with tokens and extra dice. Really, you can do it with coins if you want, like a penny is a defense point lost, a 10 pence is a system down, and maybe another dice for activations remaining to keep track of what's happening. So there is some bookkeeping, but I think at the right size and scale, that's not going to be too clunky. Of course, like with most games now, there are rules about where you place terrain, where you space terrain. In this game, and every game that has those rules, I'm going to ignore that and replace a shitload of terrain down. Now, as mentioned in my previous video, this game has firing arcs. Not just the mechs or the ZEOs, but everything has a firing arc, which represents the direction it can fire, but also the direction where it will suffer armor penalties from, usually up the backside. Naturally, each model has a stat block, as this is the way most of these games work. Every model gets loaded out with a choice of weapon. Some are free, some cost extra, and every weapon usually has a line of sight range. Which means if you can see it, you can shoot it. And that is my kind of game. If a unit moves, weapons have a dedicated snapshot range to imply a less accurate shot being fired. And as previously mentioned, yeah, activations almost follow a kind of preset routine to define everything your unit can do in an activation. Units have multiple different kinds of activations they can perform within multiple actions within each activation they can perform. There we go. For example, this guy can do a run and gun to spend one activation. And the turn will pass to the opponent, but on returning to the other player's activation again, this same unit can go again to spend its second activation point. Although it is worth noting, with that back and forth and out of sequence turn stuff I mentioned, you can react in your opponent's turn if you still have an activation point or you spend an impetus point to gain an activation point. So Bongo over here could take a shot at Congo over there, and Congo could just straight up use his activation to dodge, and he can scooch the fuck out of line of sight if he wanted and just completely cancel the action. Or Congo could just actually fully shoot back, and the results from both shots would resolve at once, meaning they could potentially tag each other out in the same activation at the same time. That's a little bit Battletech. I like that. As with most things that are a little bit Battletech, they are better. Angel Delight by itself, alright. Angel Delight with a bit of Battletech. Now we're talking. Kind of feels a little bit like Stargrave, but with a twitchy reaction of like the original Counter-Strike, maybe. And to just up the carnage ratio a little bit, there's some additional combat dice that get rolled with every attack. And these things can swing the battle real fast. Each faction has specific effects that those combat dice can have, and the Guard Corps faction tends to have, random results that lean more towards doing additional damage, shoving targets in random directions and exploding stuff. But the packed combat die feels a little bit more resource draining and a little bit less blasty. Which with some lucky rolls and some good planning can basically just dissolve a person within one turn. So that's pretty nasty. Basically, that 1d10 can really fuck someone's day up. Last thing that I want to highlight rules-wise, which stood out when I was reading the rules for this thing, is that terrain is destructible, which is another reason why I ignored the rules in the book that said, don't use as much terrain as this. Yeah, if a unit is hiding in a piece of terrain, well, you can just go ahead and destroy it with explosives or a laser rifle. If one of your ZEOs, which is one of the giant mech dudes, wants to smash through a wall or run through a piece of cover, well, it can kind of just do that. Yeah, I like the idea that people can just be camping in cover, and then one of the mechs can just run up to it and be like, nah, rip the door off, pull the car doors off, pull the plumbing out, rip the urinals off the wall, smack them with a fridge. That sounds pretty good. I didn't find one, but if there is a way to house rule it, I think I'm going to house rule it. so that a mech can kick a dumpster at people. So I am going to halt my waffle here, sort of, and I'm going to go and play this at time of recording tomorrow night. We're going to try and have a couple of games with some lists that I've kind of just pulled out of my arse. There's a full rule set available as a PDF online that's a work in progress, but it feels mostly there. But I think this thing is geared enough towards narrative in a Stargravey kind of way that it will actually just be completely fine. I'll balance it with points and we'll see what happens. Hello there, just a quick break in proceedings to let you know about the MS Paint's Patreon. It's a funky little Discord-centric community of wholesome hobby heroes sharing their creations, sharing their knowledge, and sharing their experiences in this weird and wonderful little world of tabletop gaming. You can join for as little as £3 a month, and it's the most direct way to help support MS Paints. It helps keep the lights on, keep everything running, and keep the workshop all paid up. And you'll have Health and Safety Frog's lifelong gratitude. I don't know how long frogs live, but this guy seems to be doing pretty well. Alright, back to the video. So I have had one game of this, which is a lot less than I normally like to do when I'm reviewing a game system. So the best I can do is kind of tell you about my experience with it, and I'm going to try and refrain from hypothesizing about what I haven't actually done yet. Of course, if you want to see more updates and information that I just cannot fit into this video, check the GameFound links in the description down below and in the comment. It's free to sign up to the free updates, yeah, no shit. But yeah, here is what I thought about Zoenesis. I liked the out-of-sequence actions that you can take, which is stuff that you can do in your opponent's turn. So if my opponent shoots at me, I can nominate a unit to dodge or shoot back if it wants to. The only issue is, as much as I like it, I forgot to use it. Because I'm just so not used to that being a thing in the stuff that I play. It's there, but I forgot to use it. There were a couple of times where one of my Stormer ZEOs, like the mid-size mechs, got killed by a larger mech, and then I remembered, oh, I could have done something in my turn with that. So I then, because it was a friendly game, I put him back on and we tried to do something different. But all the rolls have been done to get him killed. So basically I said, okay, I'll try firing back to various effects. It's good fun though. I think it will make players really consider every outwardly aggressive action that they do. Like if they're out in the open and see an opportunity to shoot someone in the back, is it worth waiting until they're in cover and it's a sure bet that they're not going to get hit with a shot from the hip when the guy turns around and attempts to counter it? I also really like the intended customization for each unit. Just bring a bit of personality to each model that's on the table. We didn't do that so much in the game that we had because we had limited time, but we kind of just freely swapped out which weapon each unit was equipped with based on how fun we wanted it to be at the time. And we also wanted to try all the different roles, the different weapon properties and characteristics. So we stuck to just weapons, but we tried all of the weapons. There was a little bit of table check-in, but I guess it's hard to say again because it's just, I played the one game. Would that go away with subsequent games and understanding my squad better? More than likely, yes. I remember Stargrave, I used to do a lot of table check-in. Halo, even, I did a lot of stat checking, which has just gone away and become instinctive now. I think what might make that easier, again, I don't know what they've got planned in the long run for this, but some kind of maybe browser-based or app-based squad builder with all the templates and graphics that kind of come with that. The way units activate is really fun. It always feels like your unit has got not too much to do, but it's got a lot of flexibility in what it can do. It feels very, very pacey, very fast. Like the charge activation you can do, you pick one of your units, it shoots something at close range, it moves twice, and then it does, you know, a move into melee with that second move, and it does a melee attack. So that's like, it's like 4 things it does in one activation, which is quite a lot of stuff. Yeah, I just felt like it encouraged me to do things rather than sit in cover and think about things. And another thing, and this is the thing we definitely had the most fun with, even though it's just like a paragraph in the rulebook and a couple of tables to explain how you do it, the interaction of the mechs with scenery is a fucking laugh. So, as mentioned earlier, and again in the previous video, you can not only blow up terrain if you want, but your mechs can just plow into it. Like, they can just shoulder tackle buildings, and you roll various stats in combination versus the resistance of the object or the material, and see if your mech can get through it. So on turn 1, before even thinking about any other troops or any like tactics, I just had my Stormer mech, which is the mid-size one, run straight into a wall. Like, the intention was he'd go through the wall and he'd, you know, open the tin of sardines that was the soft squishy humans on the other side of the wall, but he just went face first into it whilst firing from the hip. I think he thought he was a bit John Woo, and in my opponent's turn, Connor drove his bigger mech into the other side of the wall and shoulder tackled. Well, he got through the wall because he's a bigger mech, and he shoulder tackled my mech on the other side, which then forced that mech to go through another wall and crush the humans on the other side. And then, with a little bit of house ruling, we decided that he tripped over a sofa and fell over. Do I recommend Zoenesis? Yes, I think so. I am going to be playing more of it, not just for work, but I will play it for fun. And I think that might tell you all you need to know about whether I recommend it or not, if that makes sense. Yeah. So check the links down below in the description and the pinned comment, or head to Zoenesis.com to find out more about the universe, to download the rule set, to download the squad lists, because you could just play this right now if you want. It's all free up on there, and I'm pretty sure our super best friends over at Best Hobby are probably open to your feedback on how you feel about the game. They probably want you to playtest it, right? Thank you to my wonderful Patreon community for supporting this channel, and more importantly, supporting each other in this weird and wonderful tabletop hobby world that we have found ourselves in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and join me next time when I'll be shooting a video on my friend's red helium. I have never felt more out of my depth with a camera than I do with this fucking monolith. Cheers! I'm out of here.